Welcome to this week's last lesson. We are cruising through the Israelites. We left off last Friday as we talked about the different groups of Israelites and how they responded to the Roman rule. So if you remember way back, we talked about the Pharisees that we knew about from the Bible. They wanted to kind of resist the Romans, but weren't going to go all out and fight them. So they also had a big belief in not only the written word, but also an oral tradition. Second group was the Sadducees. The Sadducees favored cooperation with the Romans. Let's just get along with them, and then life won't be so bad. They also only accepted the written word, not all the oral traditions with it. And then we moved on to the third group, these Essenes, who kind of just got out of Jerusalem, broke away from them, and was waiting for God to come and rescue them. And then the fourth group we mentioned were the Zealots. The Zealots wanted to fight for their freedom. They were ready to revolt. And we left off with the tension is growing, guys. This tension was very evident at the time of Jesus. So in a number of chapters, when we start talking about Christianity, we talk about the life of Jesus. Sometimes it's good for us because we probably never thought about what politically is happening in the Roman and Israelite kingdoms when Jesus lived. There's high tension. Jesus has a zealot as one of his disciples, guys, and so who knows what that disciple was saying to Jesus, like, Jesus, let's go to war, let's do these things, let's overthrow Rome. All those things are happening. We're going to pick up at the start of on here, and we're going to see the revolt that comes. It says in AD 66, the Zealots revolted. Here you go. They overpowered the small Roman army in Jerusalem. 4 years later, Roman forces retook the city. They killed thousands of Jews and forced many others to leave. The Romans also destroyed the Second Temple in Jerusalem. Today, the Western Wall still stands in Jerusalem. This structure is all that remains of the temple complex. It is a long-standing Jewish custom to come to this spot to pray. So you can see here, guys, sorry, I just clicked it, but now you can see the Western Wall where the Jews still come to pray. And then put little notes inside there. Okay, guys, this happens in 70 AD when Rome shows up. So lots of times what happens is the Zealots revolt, and then Rome has to call its army. But of course, you have to get all the way to Rome itself, let the soldiers know, come back. Now, what Rome did, guys, is why it fell in 70 AD was because Rome didn't come in and try to retake Jerusalem. What Rome did is they just surrounded the city. They literally starved the people out. They said, if you guys want to come out and fight, great. If not, you go ahead and stay in that city all you want, and you will slowly suffer. Now, guys, Jesus predicted this would happen. If you remember, Jesus on his way to the cross, he walks by these women that are crying for him. And Jesus' answer to the women is, don't cry for me. A time is coming when you're going to literally say to these mountains, throw yourself on us. In other words, you're going to beg for death. And so many people, guys, those that went out and fought the Roman army got killed. Those who surrendered to the Roman army were crucified. Many people just simply starved to death inside the city. It was horrible of what happened there. Okay, after a number of years passed, some Jews rebelled once again. In AD 132, a military leader named Simon ben Kokhba, known as Bar Kokhba, led the Jews in a battle for freedom. Okay, so you got the military leader there mentioned, guys. Fill in the notes. However, 3 years later, Roman forces crushed this revolt. They killed him and many other Jewish leaders during the fighting. With the revolt put down, the Romans imposed stricter controls and did not allow Jews to live or even visit Jerusalem. So we destroyed your city, we knocked down your temple, and about 6 years later, you revolted again. So Rome says, we're not going to keep making this mistake every 50 or 60 years, so they kick everybody out of Jerusalem. The Romans renamed Judea and called it Palestine. This name refers to the Philistines, whom the Israelites had conquered centuries before. So you had number 3 in your notes as you're cruising through this. Despite losing their struggle for independence, the Jews regrouped with the help of their rabbis or religious leaders. Number 4 in your notes. The Jewish people no longer had a temple or a priest. Instead, the synagogues and rabbis gained importance. The rabbis taught and explained the Torah. They provided moral guidance, accepted notions of right and wrong to the people. So, guys, moral guidance is a very important saying in your life. It's what is accepted as right and wrong. And I think America needs to get back to thinking about the moral guidance, because a lot of us, what we would say is right or wrong, other people in this country doesn't say is right or wrong. Um, I'll give you for instance, we have so much social unrest going on that half these protests start out peaceful, but then they get into riots and lootings. Is that right or wrong? And some people will say, well, I know you shouldn't loot and steal, but because of the situation leading up to it, now it's okay. And so that's what makes morals really hard, guys. It would be an example for me. I think stealing's wrong. Yet if I didn't have any food and my kids were starving, you know what? I could see myself stealing, couldn't I? Because I'm not going to starve to death, and I'm not certainly not going to let my family starve to death. And so, what just happened to my morals? My morals changed. Now, they shouldn't do that, guys, but that's the challenge when we talk about morals. And so, what they're getting at here is there's no temple anymore because that's been destroyed. So now we have all these little synagogues all over the country led by rabbis. One of the most famous rabbis was Yohanan ben Zakkai. Ben Zakkai lived in Judea when Jerusalem fell to the Romans in AD 70. He persuaded the Romans to spare the Jewish city of Yavna. There he founded a school to continue teaching the Torah. Okay, so you got over here number 5 in your notes, famous rabbis. Ben Zakkai helped the Judaic spirit survive the destruction of the temple and loss of Jerusalem. He placed great importance on the study of the Torah. He also stressed acts of loving kindness and community service. Because of Zakkai's efforts, the School of Yavna became a center for Torah studies and a model for other schools. Number 6 in your notes. Other rabbis founded Torah schools in places as far away as Babylon and Egypt. So if you remember the diaspora guys, the Jews scattering, this would be another one. And then they take their beliefs with them. Through the efforts of Ben Zakkai and other rabbis, the basic beliefs of Judaism were preserved. However, eventually, the rabbis gathered their oral discussions about Jewish law and recorded them in a work known as the Mishnah. Later, the Mishnah was combined with other Jewish legal traditions into an authoritative collection of Jewish traditions known as the Talmud. Number 7 in your notes. The word Talmud is a Hebrew term that means instruction. That Talmud became the basis of Jewish law throughout the ages. So, guys, you have this book that is all their oral traditions and rules they want to follow that they have there for this. To this day, the Talmud remains central to Jewish teachings and is the ultimate authority on Jewish law. Number 8 in your notes. A prayer at the end of part of the Talmud reveals the Jewish reverence for the Torah. Make sweet, O Lord our God, the words of thy law in our mouths, and in the mouth of thy people, the house of Israel. And may, sorry about the phone call there, and may we, our children, and the children and thy people in the house of Israel all know thy name and learn thy law. So you have it from the Talmud. Okay, guys? And then once again, you talk about the Dead Sea Scrolls here as we brought it to an end. So today you just got how the Jewish religion continues on and with their teaching. They tried revolting. Please note, as what we covered today, there was a number of different revolts. None of them worked. Rome crushed them every single time. And we just need to understand that Rome is the superpower of it. Okay, it brings us to the end of Lesson 4 and the end of Chapter 6. You'll have a test tomorrow. Blessings on it.